Okay, I realized that I don't have any videos on current division, so I'm gonna try to make it simple, but also answering a couple questions from class. And one of them is if these two resistors are in parallel, and the answer is no. And they are also not in series. So here we have, in principle, a current source. So IS is a current source that is, spitting out current through only R1. So in this circuit here, IS equals R1, unless we short A to B. So now I want to short A to B, and in this case, R1 and R2 are in parallel in the red case. And the question is then, what happens? And what happens is that I1 and I2 added equals to IS. So IS is I1 plus I2. Often the question is, what is our I1 or what is I2? And current division states that the current on one resistor for two of them in parallel is directly proportional to the other resistor, to the other. And the other means there's only two, one's proportional to the other. And this is very easy to prove using Ohm's law. But first, I'm gonna remind you that if these two are in parallel, I could draw a circuit that has just the current source and the equivalent resistance here of the two of them, which is R1 times R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So the voltage across those resistors will be V equals Ri times IS. So that is the voltage across this current source here, and it's also this voltage here, Vx. I'm gonna also call this Vx, and this is also Vx. Now if I look at Vx here, you see that also because these two are in parallel, I can write an Ohm's law just for this resistor here. I'm gonna change color so that you know I'm sort of looking at, but Vx also equals R1 I1. I could also write, maybe in black, and oops, this is not black, huh? And Vx is R2 times I2. This is especially clear if I put ground here and ground here in case you were confused. So now I'm going to use those two equations together. Because Vx equals both of them, I'm going to just write R1 I1 is R1 R2 divided by R1 plus R2 times IS, right? So I'm just doing these two, one equals the other. And this is really it. Once you do those two, you see how R1 is here and here, so I'm gonna divide both by R1. And what happens is I1 is R2 times something else, so it's proportional to R2 on that numerator. So I1 is R2, super important, times the current source divided by the sum of the two. So you still need both resistors to have a feeling for I1. I hope you can do the same thing with this one here, with the black equation here, and find that I2, this is not working. I2 is R1 times IS divided by R1 plus R2. So in class, I solved the problem and I made a mistake. So So I'm gonna leave a numeric problem here. I hope people can easily do it. And I could have drawn that resistor, of course, vertically. So let's see, 6K, 2K, and I'm gonna make this current go down here, and I'm gonna call this 30 milliamps. And I would like you to tell me what is this current here, I2, and what is I6, using only current division without going back to Ohm's law at all. So just these two here, you should be able to solve them, I2 and I6.